Yo, what's going on, guys? Today a little longer video than usual. Today we wanted to talk about a handful of things that I wanted to touch. The Pelicans are expected to defer the Lakers' first round pick to 2025, which means the Lakers will have their 2024 pick. Paul George is expected to be the top target for the Philadelphia 76ers. There's a growing belief that the Cavaliers will be forced to trade Donovan Mitchell. The 76ers could potentially be a landing spot for LeBron James. And Tim Connelly has an opt-out clause with the Timberwolves after the season. So you can skip in the timestamps down below wherever you want. Let's get right into it. Hit that like and subscribe button. And we're going to start with the first one right now, right there. Let's get it. I will say this is probably the least pressing and the shortest of our talking points. Pelicans expected to defer the Lakers' first round pick to 2025. Kevin O'Connor of The Ringer reports. The Pelicans are expected to give the Lakers their first round pick this year and take the Lakers' first round pick in 2025. As I said, The Ringer's Kevin O'Connor reported that. Obviously, everybody knows at this point that the 2024 draft class is regarded as one of the weaker draft classes in recent memory, as the 2025 is regarded as probably one of the most stacked draft classes in recent memory. So obviously everybody has been reporting for several months now that teams are coveting 2025 picks instead of 2024 picks, as nobody really wants to draft somebody in this draft outside of maybe the top two picks. You don't even want the top pick this year because it's kind of weird. Now, the Pelicans have the option to take one of the Lakers' pick as a result of the Anthony Davis trade. Quote, the people around the league expect the Pelicans will give the Lakers their picks this year and take the 2025 picks. If that's the case, it's hard to fathom that the Lakers would use the pick on LeBron James. Rob Pelinka is far more likely to chase Trae Young or another star in a trade, end quote, wrote Kevin O'Connor. And that's kind of where I'd go. They're not going to draft anybody. Don't expect anyone to get drafted. If they were to do a deal, they would trade the first round pick for a star player and ask for a second round pick in this year's draft and then draft Bronny James in the second round of this year's draft if that's what's really going to happen. I personally don't see that happen. I don't see the reason for that happening, but I could understand if you're a fan of the Lakers and you would want to see your team do that. I just don't see the benefit in doing something like that, as this is a team that they need to win. They need to look good, especially if LeBron James does stay this coming year, because he's probably, I think Bronny's going to transfer and he's going to go somewhere else, and then LeBron plays one more year. If they do well, they'll draft Bronny and he stays and plays his last year with the Lakers. If not, I think the LeBron James camp is open to go anywhere in 2025, but 2024 they need to really line their ducks in a row so that they could make an actual valiant effort in keeping him. Because for me, it's not that I think it's dumb. I think they just need to be realistic about what their approach is here. And I think they can save themselves, like keep LeBron James here. It's just a matter of how they go about it. So that's just my thoughts right there. Let's get to the next topic. I actually met Tim's brother, Pat. They're from where I'm from in Maryland. Like, they're from Towson specifically. I know people who play basketball with them. I'm from a little bit more north, like 10 minutes more north from where they are. My mom lives like near where they're from, but either way, Tim Connelly, allegedly Sean Sharani, put out that he has an opt-out clause, and this is definitely being released because of the timing. So shout out Sean Sharani for this. Tim Connelly has an opt-out clause in his contract for the Minnesota Timberwolves after the 2023-24 season. Tim Connelly was hired with equity, meaning not only did they give him a 5-year, $40 million deal in 2022, which he's only going to have seen 2 years through it, it has an opt-out clause, with Mark Lore and Alex Rodriguez being the driving decision that Glenn Taylor signed off on it, and they signed off on giving him owner equity. Now, Connelly's opt-out was intended to line up with Mark Lore and Alex Rodriguez taking over ownership of the Wolves. The Wolves will likely finish with the second seed, while Connelly's former team that he built, the Denver Nuggets, will be the number one seed in the Western Conference, bearing an unexpected loss to the Spurs and Grizzlies. Lore and Rodriguez are expected to head towards litigation and mediation with Taylor at the incumbent owner of the Wolves, claim payment deadlines were not met. Connelly could sign an extension with the Wolves or potentially receive interest and a lot of money from rival teams. The man's building title contenders left and right. And I don't think he leaves. I think there's an owner equity still here. So, 20% equity partners don't hire people. Taylor paid him the bulk of his first $16 million, so I kind of think he works for Taylor. And Lauren Alex Rodriguez gets the approach, or gets credit for approaching Connelly, spending Taylor's money, but I don't understand why anyone thinks Connelly would be upset with Taylor's he'll never come here. That's a compliment. It's like saying your wife, I didn't ask you out in 2021 because I thought you were way out of my league. And I think the interesting part is that I think Connelly is, I don't know. I think it's interesting because when you look at Connelly, I think it's 40% the team, or like, how much does he own? I think he owns 10%. They own 36%, but it's weird. And I think one of the interesting parts about here is that I'm confused with the Gobert move. Worked out. All those role players' contracts are fine, and I don't think the thing is the one really major move he did was the Gobert move, and I don't know. I guess. Okay. Also, Connelly makes $8 million a year, which is second to anybody in the league. And I look at this, I think it's fine. I think everything's good, and I don't think it's as dark as we think. And I don't know. It's just my thought. I'm moving on. I'm done with this topic. I don't know what to expect at this point to believe with Donovan Mitchell. Is he going to stay? Is he going to leave? We might never find out. And that's where it gets interesting, because Mitchell's a great ball player, and he's a guy that, if you're a fan of the Cavs, Donovan Mitchell's been huge for you guys. And I don't get this whole thing where it seems, the Cavs are going to be having to be forced to trade Donovan Mitchell. It's that this whole saga that's been going on since they traded for him. And Mark Stein is reporting right now, what we're hearing specifically is this is the report from last week, what we saw, that they might have to trade him before the season ends. And Donovan Mitchell will be entering the final guaranteed year of his current contract if there is no extension, leading to a growing belief that rival teams will believe the Cavs will be forced to trade Mitchell in the summer if they cannot come to terms with him on an extension, which makes you think about it as, I think he signs an extension and then gets traded, but he can get traded and then sign an extension with the other team, and that's where it gets super complicated. I sit here and they could recoup the value. I think another problem is that, like, I think Darius Garland isn't. I don't. It blows my mind. It blows my mind. I get upset and I think about it and I look at the team and I hope for the betterment. Paul George, baby. Daryl Morey. Allegedly, the Philadelphia Inquirer is reporting that what is the Cavs situation in the offseason looking like, and why is it significant? And Keith Pompey responds that the Sixers have plenty of room to make a significant move, and they intend to do so. The Clippers forward Paul George is expected to be the top target if he declines his $48.8 million option and cannot agree to an extension. I mean, it makes sense. Paul George is the most seamlessly fitting player in the NBA. Every team wants Paul George. Why? Because of how easily he fits into a team's, like, as a secondary playmaker, and just as somebody who can be the second guy or the third guy, especially as he gets older. And that's the allure. That's the allure that people like about him, and what they think is impressive. As I agree with that. I always talk about a team. Everyone's talking about Paul George going, Klay Thompson going to the Orlando Magic. I think Paul George could end up in Orlando. I mean, I'm not really, but I'm saying he's the perfect guy to put next to Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero. And I think that's what a lot of teams are looking like. Joel Embiid, Paul George, Tyrese Maxey. That's pretty darn good. He gives you the two-way ability. The way his game is aging is seamless. It's what you'd hope. And he's going to continue to get paid because of his game. He doesn't need the ball in his hand. He can defend. And that is something that is widely coveted. the Sixers aren't going to be the only suitors, let me tell you that. And this could end up being a sign-and trade. The Clippers could, I mean, Paul George seems like a good dude who operates in good faith and has some sort of loyalty. And the only reason he would leave Los Angeles, it seems, is because of the paycheck that he could receive going elsewhere. And it's the last bag that he'll get at the age that he's approaching. Yes, Paul George, if you guys don't realize, Paul George ain't a young cookie anymore. He ain't the same guy that he once was. Paul George at this point, he's on the other side of just 30. He's a guy that is a 33-year-old man. He'll be turning 34 in about a month, under a month at this point, which is, if you're a basketball fan, it's crazy to think about someone that, for a lot of you, it's been your entire career watching him. For someone like me, I remember when there wasn't a Paul George in the league, but for me, it's still like crazy. I've seen most of my basketball career, there is a Paul George. So it's definitely interesting. I think out of all the people that we're hearing who could end up in the Philadelphia area, Paul George seems the most likely, in my opinion. I mean, for all we know, Donovan Mitchell could be the guy. It's crazy with how the NBA is trending and what could be there. So that's where I definitely want to hear your guys' opinion. If you guys have any expectations for the upcoming offseason, I'd like to hear them as always. But yeah, that's going to be it for me on this Paul George one. But let's get over to the rest of it. If you guys haven't heard, there is a man by the name of LeBron James. Yes, LeBron James. Go check that out. Yo, what's going on right here, guys? And we're talking about the Sixers are potentially a landing spot for LeBron James. I know. And also, sorry about like this angle that we're doing. What ended up happening was the video, my camera crapped out on me, so we're going to do a voiceover for the remaining. And I want to hear your guys' opinions down below. What's your thoughts on LeBron potentially going to Philadelphia? Do you guys believe it? Is that preposterous? I mean, we all know that LeBron's allegedly willing to take a pay cut to play with his son, so we can only imagine. So that's where I want to hear your guys' thought. This is the report. 76ers a potential landing spot for LeBron James. The same sources believe LeBron James won't want to relocate to the East Coast, even to potentially chase a title with Joel Embiid and Clutch Sports client Tyrese Maxey. Would Sixers president Daryl Morey draft Bronny James solely as an attempt to lure LeBron in free agency? Quote, one Eastern Conference executive told Bleacher Report, if someone were going to do it, it'd be Daryl, end quote. That's pretty crazy to think about. Now, for me, I personally think the Lakers do have some leverage over LeBron. Many teams will have almost $50 million in cap space to max out LeBron James at $157.5 million over the 3 seasons. The most obvious answer might be the Philadelphia, but most NBA sources believe the Sixers are targeting Paul George. If George resigns with the Clippers, could LeBron James be the alternate? I also think there's like a dark horse chance that LeBron leaves this offseason. Like, people aren't talking about that. So that is like my whole thing. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a weird situation that we're in. I don't understand if there is solely a right answer, because it's an odd one. It's an odd one that we didn't know he was gonna leave Miami until the very end, and I think how this playoffs go will dictate what he does. I think that's the only and the best way that we can approach what he does this season. So I do have not reservations, but a belief that maybe LeBron is in a different jersey after this summer. Who knows? And is that anybody's fault? Okay, because the whole thing right there is LeBron. But then again, the draft is before free agency. So for all we know, LeBron could get enticed before free agency because somebody drafts his son. We do not know if that's and this is a weird year. I'm not going to sit here and not acknowledge the fact that it's a weird one, to say the least. Draft wise, it's a toss up of what's going to happen. And I'm curious as much as you guys to see what's going to happen. But that's it for me, guys. Hit that like and subscribe button if you guys did enjoy. Peace out.